Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with Black Ice. Now, one of the viewers, longtime viewer, Archie Bunker, we know that's not his real name, but if you're an American and you're of a certain age, you know who that TV character was. Now, suggested, because of some of the stuff I was saying in the previous video, that about the idea of starting over or something. His suggestion was to start over with the current version of Hearts of Iron 4 with the current version of Black Ice. Now, I don't know, I haven't been following close enough to how often they're updating Black Ice, but it's probably going to be, my strong suspicion is they're not going to release any new Hearts of Iron 4 patches until the Oak patch, which my guess, and it's just a guess now, is like June sometime. So we've got, you know, the rest of this month through May and then into June likely before we're looking at a significantly changed Hearts of Iron. So that would be a good block of playing through. We could do that. Also, I forget who it was, one of you thought America would be good, and that's definitely a possibility. Played that long time ago now with you know, way outdated version of the game. That we could do that. I forget right offhand, there was somebody else, I think, pushing for another country. Now, so few things have frustrated me with this game. The Aegean Islands here right now are sort of frustrating me. So I'm very open to the idea of a new, the flag flicker would be gone with the new version. Like I was saying, very open to an idea of a new starting afresh, and I'm very open to the idea because so far viewership has shown that Germany is very popular. So this series gone down a little bit in viewership, maybe because of the current state of this game, and that, you know, people have seen seen enough, know that this version isn't good, or maybe they're already playing the next version, so they would rather see that. So I'm definitely open to ideas, to suggestions, if you want to post them below here. I will, of course, take them all into account. Though I will warn you, popularity of, say, 6 people wanting to play the US would be great, and that would be absolutely enough to get me to start a game of playing the US. But if viewership doesn't stay up, I'm going to try something else, because to a point this is a popular demand situation. You know, I can go off and say, hey, I'm playing what I want to play. Yeah, but what does that serve? I can go play what I want to play without putting it up for you guys anytime I want, you know, I mean, of course. And so I'm doing this with giving a narration to things is to entertain people, give people something they want to watch, you know, and hopefully help them play better, because I'm learning by playing here. I'm learning by your giving me suggestions about things, so I'm learning too. So we're all learning, and if you should always, you know, there's not, well, some threads below some of the episodes get longer than others, but you should always check those out. Now, I was asked also by Archie Bunker was about invading this, and I just don't know if it's really worth it, because yeah, you know, I don't know right offhand how much some of this would go to Italy versus me, especially if you're looking at all of Italy's armies sitting around ready to invade. And so if they wanted to invade, go knock yourself out, guys. I don't think Yugoslavia will stand up to you. But the chromium well, we don't really need that much, and we can get it via trade with Yugoslavia if we need to, or Italy. So I don't see a big need to do it here, and also asked on the idea of Turkey. Don't see a big need to do invading or puppeting or whatever Turkey unless we're going towards the Soviet Union. And so far in this playthrough, we are not planning on going through the Soviet Union, at least until we get United Kingdom done. And since we can't even defeat freaking Aegean Islands, this is pathetic. Now, towards the end of the posts, though I don't know if they're going to be coming back and checking, because Podcat sort of said, see you next week, posting, meaning he's no longer planning on posting in that on that developmental diary of this week. Don't know whether that means he's won't check it out in his spare time or something to see it. But one of the things I begged him for, and I think 9 or 10 people hit the agree button or something if you want to go and do that, was to create, because people were asking for more custom national focus threads, and what I begged him for was a weak generic national focus that they can stick on countries like Nepal, Bhutan, what was the other? Oh, Liberia, I think, are the 3 that I mentioned specifically. But obviously you've got places like Afghanistan, Tibet, Yemen, Oman, that are just primitive. And I would start to put into, and if you look at the countries, and sorry if there's any of you here that you're thinking I think your country's primitive, and it sort of was at the time, are places like Bolivia and Paraguay. They had no ability to build arms in those countries. Ecuador, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Panama, all of these countries, I'm begging them for, and no response from them, is to do a generic, weak NF, national focus tree, for any of those, and then, other releasable nations in Africa, or whatever, because you can see, come down here, and don't we have some, foreign claims here that they could release it as Mozambique, or they could release it as Central Congo. Those would have they're very weak national focus tree. So I don't know if they're going to do it, but I beg them for that as a improvement to the game. So if you want to go poke them for that, might be a good idea. But I want to play this, at least today's episode here. What I want to see about trying here, and part of what I'm doing here is and I think I've been up front with all of you guys, I'm not coming on as a great expert of playing this. If you go back to the old days in Hearts of Iron 3, you had Oh My Gods, really great series, is sort of the best Black Ice Germany How to Conquer the World series, and he really good and really nails all of the he's the min-max player of those games at the top there. I don't think he even owns Hearts of Iron 4, and my playthroughs are not on his level of min-max and how to do it, but are, I would say, relatively good at presenting a well-informed case. But playing this, for me, you can look and see, and a few of you have on my Steam account, how many hours I have in this, but that doesn't give you the full story, because I also have another version that Paradox gives me, or loans me, however you want to put it there, that I can see how many hours, but you can't even see that I have that copy in my Steam library. And that version has very many hours too. But my sort of point is that game is different than the standard game, and this Black Ice version is different than the standard game, and so on and so on. So so many different games that I've been playing, and I haven't really mastered any of these. So I hope this is useful as a tutorial to some degree. But it's still a learning process for me, and all of these change over time, so I sort of get into habits that may not be the best. I know I'm talking a lot, we haven't gotten anywhere yet, but just sort of giving you my sort of view is wanting to try things. So what I'm thinking here is, because I don't know how much longer we're going to be playing this series, and if your vote is you want to see this series continue, maybe give a suggestion idea, because I'm sort of, well, just looking here, and I sort of hope some of the division spam is improved and whatever. I don't know, but is play to the finish of taking the British Islands, or we're not going to be doing a world conquest with this. At some point, this is less and less reason to play this game, as we're talking about. Try to do the Soviet Union, I don't know, because that's at least a year, minimum a year away, because we're just hitting into 43. It would be 44 at best invasion if we're going to take down Britain before. So I don't know. But if you think continuing this and how much longer you want to continue it. But on that note, I want to try here to see if we stage a coup. Now obviously we have 40% versus 48%, but that also means that they don't have a majority support the communists. And so I don't know what that's going to do. Obviously you want more support than that. Now I don't know if you, or as much support as you can get. I don't know if you've been playing a nation and watched your the nation that you're playing, your party support, fascist for Germany or whatever, to go down below 50%. I have with, and this is another thing, a lot of my hours playing, I play 1936 so often. Sometimes I'll play 1936 5 times in a day. Now that's maybe with speed 5 and I'm testing stuff out and I sort of know what's going on, but I play through 1936 a lot. So a lot of my playtime is still even testing things, because I was doing a bunch of testing for Third Reich events and just balanced play testing. And before I started doing some of that for Germany, it was going complete Nazi way too fast, because I had a lot of events in there that helped support Nazi popularity, which I think are all legit and everything, but it was just way too much. And all of my events, because I moved them over because just things, all of my disruption events were disrupting national unity, but they weren't giving any support to any of the other political parties. So I went in and changed that to additionally support other political parties. And I'm right now reading a book, I think it's called Hitler's Compromises, and it talks about Hitler's and the Nazis, not just Hitler's, but the Nazis. Really good book right now I'm reading, and it's going to affect Third Reich events in future, on the compromises that Hitler did, and how I've always, and I know I've talked about this stuff, Hitler did not rule with an iron fist. Hitler was a velvet glove kind of rulership inside of Germany. This is the key. Inside of Germany. Obviously unleashed massive amounts of terror in occupied zones and did everything. Also, that velvet glove was if you're the right type of person. If you were someone hurt in the war, or hurt in like an automobile crash, but if you were like a mental defective, or if you were born with significant birth defects, they really pro euthanasia. They wanted to kill these people and put them, they least self-justified, one justified, put them out of their misery, but they were also wanted to cleanse the race. So obviously that isn't very nice to people, just to so if you were the wrong type of person, meaning if you're a some sort genetic defect, they wanted to cleanse you out. But they were very caring for you and not doing that if you couldn't take care of yourself because of an injury, meaning your genetic stock is good, but you had a war injury or something. They were all for, and you're the right type of German person, they were all for taking care of you. So, or if you were a not a birth defect so much, but a mental deficient type person, to be a communist or an anarchist or somebody like that, obviously you weren't the right type of person, so that would be the iron fist against you. And obviously Jews and other groups, that they were the iron fist and to the point of death camps. But if you were the right type of German, and this book is going into it, is right now what I'm reading on it has been mostly the different religious groups, both the Catholic and Protestants, and how much the church was pushing back, and how very much it was by gal around sort of province or state. If you don't know, the like Gauleiter is the title of the guy, and how it was handled in each different case, and the pushback to the population and how they were handling it. So if you were these right types of people, they were the velvet gloves trying to cajole you, trying to through propaganda, through other things, to get agreement and move you that way. That's how Nazism ruled within, for the right type of people that they wanted to convince. Like they're one of the groups of people that supported the Nazi Party and supported the rise of Hitler were the farmers. But they also were extremely strong support for the church. And this really, and this book does go into it, and we've had discussions on the forum, and isn't fascism and not National Socialism about the same? Well, I'll even maybe, and I think it isn't entirely correct, but even if for the sake of argument, say, they're the same economic theory. Now, if you're a socialist or a communist type Marxist world viewpoint, economic theory is all that matters, because that's how they view the world. And I remember, I think it was Donna Brazil, leading up to the election, or maybe it was post-election, U.S. election, talking about like in West Virginia or Tennessee or something like that. Well, if the people want to vote against their own self-interest, This is Donna Brazil, the head of the Democratic Party machine at the time, if you know who she is. And so, how are these people voting against their own interests to vote for Republicans? Well, she, who claims to be a very strong Christian, I have my doubts about that, but she makes that claim often, doesn't understand that a lot of people see economic interests often as secondary interests versus other interests. Possibly religious freedom, which is under attack, especially under Obama. Religious freedom, or particularly practice of religion, is under attack. Not worship in your church, mind you, but the practice of your religion is under attack in America. And maybe your cultural interests, or there's a lot of things going on where it's so easy, especially up in the northeast of America, for most states to take your children away from you without any legal proceedings. They can just, the Child Protective Services, the people who are supposed to protect children from abuse, can just grab your children up at their whim, and you have to then prove to get your child back. And it's particularly easy via the laws up in the Northeast because they're very much for state control. And so a lot of these things are pissing off people in parts of America, that they may even agree that their economic interests are with the Democratic Party, but their other interests aren't. And so this gets back to what I'm talking about here, is with National Socialism, it isn't just the economic theory of state managed economy, though allowing private ownership, including of large corporations, but it's really that Hitler and the Nazis, and I've sort of boiled it down, I think, to some degree, is race is religion. I mean, that may be too simplistic, maybe wrong, but I'm trying to distill it down in there, that they very much wanted to get rid of all of Christianity out of Germany and out of the German peoples. And if you can read this book, and if you don't believe it now, read the book. And it's not even, oh, you got to agree with the author and his points of view. No, he is citing, in situations in Munster and Essen up in here, other ones down in Bavaria, in the different gallows down here that were going on, and the interaction between the Nazis and the churches, and how that they were trying to, particularly like in Bavaria, remove all crucifixes from all schools, and trying to declare all schools to be state schools, and not allowing religious schools to even exist. And these other measures that they were working, so that there were sort of, and you can look at different times, Nazi church stuff, there was a sort of facade, but they were really moving to remove Christianity from Germany. Whether they, and Hitler and crew, well, Hitler and such, whether he believed in the sort of esoteric occultism that Himmler did, I don't know that Hitler went that far, and I'm pretty sure he didn't in many cases, as far as Himmler and that. But Hitler did want to remove Christianity. I think one of Hitler's quotes was, well, even my mother would still go to church, meaning, and they talk about one of his quotes, that to some degree they were going to let the old people die out believing in Christianity, but for the new Hitler youth educated peoples, that's where their target was, is to move the nation to National Socialism. So it's National Socialism, but that's just sort of a euphemistic title for maybe Nazism, or whatever you want to call their belief system. And sorry, we haven't even got the episode going. But I sort of get in these moods, and you know that, so I'm sorry it's gone a little long. But so you have that kind of situation in Germany. If you're the right type of person, they're going to go very softly on you. And I've always, like when I'm playing the Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 3, instead of sending the goon squads, it's give the extra consumer goods to the people. That's the way the Nazis wanted to rule within Germany for the right class of German people. If you were the wrong type of German people, or if you were non-German, and then you go down in scales of less goodness, if you will, Dutch are better than French, that are better than Belgian or Bulgarians or something, I don't know. But, scaling it on down, in their sort of a racial hierarchy, it all comes out that way. So, when I was testing some of this stuff, get back to where we started, I watched, playing as Germany, my political support for fascism to go below 50%, and then some of the game effects that are naturally in the game were starting to come up, which were bad effects, because I wasn't testing it on Black Ice, I was testing on regular. And that was a very interesting thing, because I had never had that happen, go below. So we're going to see what happens when we're going to try to stage a coup, because they're below 50% here in... Okay, we want to go fascist. Okay. Okay, well, let's see. We have... Okay, well, we can do that, I think. We want to go fascist. So let's start. This out here. I want to see how this goes. Let's continue the war here.
Männer!
Okay, we have 3 dockyards. Let's see. And I want to build more convoys. Okay, better tactics. Now, battlefield support. That's good. With this one we can do all three of them in time, where obviously this one is one or the other. Key point bombing and ground support. Let's go with ground support. Okay,
Ihre
you're
Befehle?
here. I'll send you over to here. Got this central part of Angola secure. To some degree this has got to be hurting. Well, I guess it is hurting. See the low organization levels to some degree there. I am waiting for these guys
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
to come down and join us here. Was asked about doing a naval invasion, but with our limited amount of transports and things, I don't know that it's going to be necessary. I think if we get and I have 4 more infantry divisions coming down here, I think we can just try to push into Pretoria here and cut them off a bit more that way without a naval invasion. But mentioning that, let's move here.
Zuhören.
We've added 2 more panzer divisions to this invasion than last time. Otherwise it's the same thing. Same, number of the same divisions. But and I don't know if they're somehow getting Lend-Lease into here or something. It should be the battle conditions that we just had should have been. Good. Got air cover. Full designs. Great. There we go. We should be costing them excuse me, manpower, laws of excuse me, equipment, and other things from previous times. I don't know how many factories they built, but they shouldn't be getting too many reinforcements or replacements. Well, at least we're positive green, that's good. Okay, well this
Ihre Befehle?
failed. No, there were just too many there, I understand. Now, up here, okay.
Befehle? Bereit. Befehle!
With that.
Zuhören.
There we go. Supported by 2 more divisions. That'll get us the river line. Maybe cut these guys off. Now, one thing I'll tell you I'm doing, and this is what I'm sort of working on modding right now. Many of you have played Third Reich Events for Hearts of Iron 3, and they're aware, at least from the German side, the events that I have dealing with Switzerland. There was a significant. There was a Swiss Nazi party, and that did sort of fracture, and there were other sort of things. But there was a Swiss. Plus, there were German nationals living in Switzerland at the time, and a lot of them before the war, even more increased during the war. A lot of them before the war, once Germany went Nazi, and then after the war started, a lot of them were anti-Nazis, but a lot of them were pro-Nazis too, that moved in there. What I've sort of done with Third Reich events earlier on it sort of got me looking at this stuff, and was Wilhelm Gustloff was assassinated. He was a dual citizen. He was in charge of the Nazi in 1936 and before. He was in charge of the Nazi party for Germans outside of Germany. The the OA? Forget the exact name of this stuff. And he was assassinated by David Frankfurter, who later, who got, I think it was like a life sentence or a 30-year sentence or something like that in jail, and about 3 months after the war was over, the Swiss let him out, and he immigrated to Israel. But he was killed. Now, what if, and he dies in Third Reich events, but what if Germany decided to give active support to and I'd sort of like your feedback on some of this, to the Swiss Nazis? My original and so not, because they did do a little bit of support, and some of it's presented as the evidence is presented in the mod. I'm reworking it for Hearts of Iron 4. In 3, you can go in and, okay, well, if you want to add support for the Swiss Nazis, you can, and promote them up. Now, all that does in Hearts of Iron 3 is basically, if you support them enough, you do that thing. If then later you invade, it increases the political party support for Nazis. It does do that. Here, instead of being neutral, obviously you don't have neutral back then. It increases Nazi party support there, but it also gives you mostly here, sort of here, corps, national corps for Germany and Switzerland. And if you invade and conquer it, it won't be just a case of occupation for a bunch of the provinces. You will actually annex them. That's all it does for Germany in Hearts of Iron 3. And there's a similar chain of events that, unless you played it as Italy, you don't know about. It's to support basically these 3 provinces here, is support for an Italian-speaking fascist movement in Italy. And similarly, if the Axis take it over, and if Italy has, and they were actively, more so than in Germany, actually, I believe, we're actively supporting the fascist and the Italian fascist, I want to specify, in Switzerland. You will, similarly, if they've done that, you'll get that. Now, I've also, in recent research, mostly around Geneva area, but a French-speaking fascist movement. The main German one is the National Front. The Italian is the Federal Fascist, I think is that, and the what is it? It's the Union Front, I think, is the French-speaking one. And so what I've done is I've coded up a bunch. It's basically done for Germany that you can support, and I got to balance it all. But I got to get all coding done. Is that you can support the stuff you know, the different parties. Italy's going to be able to support the Italian fascists. If France is fascist, they will be able to support the small French fascist movement. If France is democratic, they will be able to, if they wish to put stabilization factors, anti-fascist factors. And what I'm wanting to work on is not just if you invade, but have the ability that if you lower national unity enough, it'll cause and enough fascist support, it'll cause theoretically enough riots and chaos in Switzerland that Switzerland is broken up, in essence peacefully, in the sense that there is no declarations of war. But Switzerland's neighbors will come in and divide up Switzerland. Now, the only problem we have right now is that there's only 2 states in Switzerland, and you can't own anything smaller than a state. Don't right now have the modding skills. I'm sure I could learn, or someone could point me out to how to create a state. I want to do these 4 provinces, and then these sort of provinces here, as you can see I'm highlighting, that are for France. Carve them up that way, and then have 2 states for Germany, and sort of the rest of that, to be able to carve that up. So, but I'll tell you, it's very, I don't like the national focuses that you press button, wait 70 days, get result, you know the result, what it's going to be. These events are all done in that when you inject political power to support your party, there's a percentage chance of 2 different results. One is a lot of support, one is a little bit of support. If you, little support is the most likely outcome. If you, and I'm going to balance it, so if you get mostly little supports, because I'm also going to put in a national effect that is going to work to keep it neutral. If you, and so Italy can be doing it, Germany can be doing it, theoretically fascist France can be doing it. If you are all doing it and you mostly get the little supports, it ain't going to happen. The natural sort of breakup. You can still get national cores if you decide to invade. That still would happen. But but you have to have the good results, which are harder to get more often. And then if it lowers it enough, so this is sort of a random chance thing to have it break up. So it's the players will, do I want to keep putting political power, political support into this thing? Is it having any good effect? That kind of thing. And it's an interesting thing that I have done, but so I don't know what you guys think of it. I don't know if I can get the standard game to give me 2 more states, meaning Paradox. I'd like that just to keep it more. More standard than modded. Okay, well, they're at 4% or 4 units, but hardly have any.
Ausrücken!
These guys are up here, but let's see what we can do here. Nah, they're not going to win. I still want to push on them. The reason I want to push on them is so they don't start sending too many units down here. Okay, they stopped this attack.
Ausrücken!
Occupy there if we can. Okay, they sent a great, well, fairly large Portuguese army up there.
Ihre Befehle! Zuhören! Ihre Befehle?
There we go, since they're sent the army up there into the desert. holding Aka. 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 So oh, we forgot to do this. Okay. How are we doing up here? Much better this time. Good. Oh, we have free civil factories. Good. Now. That will help us see things better. So we've got radar coverage all the way up to here and all the way up to here, so that will be good. Okay, well, we're going to end the episode here right now because I'm making this the day, Friday here, that I'm going to be putting up tonight, so I don't want to make it too long. Got to be able to upload it. Sorry, things are still a bit erratic. I'm trying to get back on the schedule. We're going to get more onto there real soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And of course, please tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell somebody somewhere about this channel. Would love to have it grow. And of course, thank you for your comments, and please on the sort of what to do next. I'm going to make an episode or two after this, but whether we should go ahead significantly more of this series or start again, and if so, what countries. All that would be appreciated. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.